Hey guys, welcome back to another Jedi Joey video. So it's good to see you guys. Happy Sunday. It's my Friday at work and I wanted to crank out some videos before we do the main thing. So it's been a while, it's been a few weeks. We're now in August. It's been a busy week. We had Fantastic Four in the last couple of weeks. We're experiencing the drop off. We had Superman 2 weeks before that, and we are covering both Superman and Fantastic Four still. So stay tuned. Work has kept me busy, but that's right, baby. We're here.
That's right, baby. We're here. Yeah, baby, we're here.
And so we are going to definitely be going crazy here. So I'm dropping two massive videos for you guys today. This video right here is going to be my Lex Luther ranking, because of how much I love Superman. I know you guys have been waiting for my ranking. But when we get into this ranking, the number one thing you need to know is we will not be talking about the Superboy version of Lex Luther or the other early 60s to late 70s Superman live action versions of Lex Luther, because I just haven't watched those versions in a long time, and I don't know where they sit on this ranking. So for you guys, I decided to make this list specifically on the Lex Luthers that I have seen and have loved or didn't love the most consistent, the worst of the worst to the best of the best. And we're talking about, it's my personal opinion. Everyone will have their rankings. They'll be different. That's okay. But it's my list. I can't miss. I love this character and have studied this character in the comics more than probably any other individual. If you guys don't know, in this video, you'll see a picture of me posted from the Superman premiere as I was Lex Luthor. Everyone else is dressed up as Superman. They really want to be Wonder Woman, all these other DC characters that aren't even in the film. Nah, man. I was Lex Luthor. I haven't shaved my head, but, it's not fully bald again. But I might go bald again because it was a good look. But with that being said, let's kick off our list at number 8. Now, before we get into this, make sure if you guys like my list, drop your list in the comments below. And remember, we are trying to hit 2K subs very soon, so it would be greatly appreciated. And also, don't forget to smash that like, share, and subscribe, because, we're trying to hit our followers, which is great. But also, smash that like button, pushes the video out to the YouTube algorithm, and we appreciate it here. And commenting shows engagement, which is great. And also, we have a membership program. It's only $5 per month. Gives you access to exclusive live streams. You get your own badge. And you also get a hat soon in the near future once we gather new members. And you get exclusive access to early content very often. So $5 per month. Consider signing up. Thanks, guys. But now that being said, let's get into the ranking. All right, coming in at number 8. Now, we know it had to be this way, okay? Now, Snyder trolls are going to hate this. They're going to hate on me. Nah, bro. We're going to get real, okay? Look, this is how it's got to be. I've tried to play ball with you Snyder-ass clowns, but you guys do not know anything about Lex Luthor. So at number 8, the worst on the list is Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor. Now, I get what Zack Snyder was going for. He took the guy from the literal story of Facebook, the social network, and he wanted to create the perfect, weird, kind of young Lex Luthor. Which, look, I get it, but when you have an old Batman and an older Superman, you should have an older, experienced Lex Luthor. You could have had Bryan Cranston play a villainous, dangerous Lex Luthor in this film, and you blew that. You blew that chance, and that was horrible. I've liked Jesse Eisenberg in other films, but my problem with Lex Luthor is he's all over the place in this movie. Lex Luthor is meant to be a megalomaniac who is crazy, who is intelligent, and this Lex Luthor, you don't even know what version of the character he is. And also, there's nothing threatening about him, because his biggest claim to fame in his movie where he is the villain, all he does is send a giant rage monster, freaking cave troll, wannabe Michael Bay Ninja Turtle looking motherfucker to go kill Superman. That's his big move. When these other Lex Luthors, you've seen them actually do very intelligent, very interesting moves. And I think that's really what it comes down to, which is really too bad. So that's why, it's easily the worst. I watched Batman vs. Superman multiple times. I've seen what both they did in Justice League as a cameo and what we could have had as Legion of Doom. I've also seen what Zack Snyder was going to do in Justice League, the Snyder Cut, all that stuff. It just does not work. It does not work. I don't care what anyone says. I don't like this casting choice. This is easily the worst casting. Sometimes he feels like he's the Riddler. Then he feels like he's the Joker. And then towards the end of the movie, when he's threatening Superman, there's a little bit of me that goes, maybe since you have a Batman and Superman movie, maybe you should have just cast him to play the Mad Hatter. Because he's got that Mad Hatter vibe where he's waving the little clock around. White Rabbit. And that's the thing. Like, there's a thing about being campy and being serious and being different. And that's great. But this is just too silly for me. It just didn't work. So, with that being said, let's go to our number 7 on the list. All right, number 7 on this list is, look, we had to talk about it. We had to make it be Gene Hackman because, look, I love the Superman 78 movie. I love Superman 2, which he's not very a part of. Didn't have a big role in Superman 3. Came back for Superman 4 with his big Sentry plot line with the real estate businessman motive that we see advertised in both the first film and, of course, the last film. Being that they have both those films advertised those angles. They have this real estate version of Lex Luthor. Also, they have Lex Luthor with hair. And I know he got bald eventually, but I don't like that. That's the other thing I have with Jesse Eisenberg I didn't talk about. He doesn't get bald till the end of the movie and shave his head, and you can do the evolution. I still don't like the vision of young Lex Luthor. I think that was a bad move. If you're going to do young Lex Luthor, we'll talk about it later in the list about how you do a proper young Lex Luthor. And I think that's just the sad thing about how they do this, and it just doesn't work either of these takes. Like, I respect the actor. I think he did a great job alongside, of course, Christopher Reeves, but just not my Lex Luthor. Sorry, guys. Just not a fan of it. I'll be real. I rewatched those movies recently, and it just doesn't work. All right, coming in at number 6, we got Kevin Spacey. Look, Kevin Spacey is a horrible human being, and in my opinion, now look, you'll see it if you watch my Superman ranking of the movies video recently. You know, I'm not a huge fan of Superman Returns. Like, when I was a kid, I loved it. Brandon Routh's great, but I have a lot of issues with it, and it didn't really stand out as much. The plot isn't as good, and you know, one of my issues is this Lex Luthor. He kind of comes off a little bit too Kingpin to me, but doesn't have any of the things that make Vincent D'Onofrio so good. Like I think you can make an argument that Kingpin and Lex Luthor are very similar. Like, you could say that Kingpin is the DC Kingpin is the Marvel version of Lex Luthor very easily, and I think that is awesome. But in this situation, I don't know. I just didn't vibe with it. He doesn't feel like he stabs him with kryptonite. I feel like the cool thing about Lex Luthor is he needs to be threatening in his own right without it just always be run to I have kryptonite side plot. Now, that's one of the things that I think people misunderstand about Lex Luthor is he's a genius. He has genius intellect. And we need to focus more on that. That's what makes his Lex Luthor so great and so grand. So that's why I put him at number 6. Now, let's go on to... Now, each of these 5 candidates I love. Okay, I think this top 5 is easily the best, and it stands out to me in a way that I don't think anybody else would have expected. So, coming in at number 5, now this is going to be the hottest take, okay? So, I enjoyed a lot of things in the Titans series. I remember when they cast Titus Welliver as Lex Luthor in Titans, and I thought we were going to get a lot more episodes with Lex Luthor in Titans because they were building him up as a big character. They said he was going to be in season 4, it was going to be a big deal. But they kill him in the first episode. Now, Titus Welliver gives an intimidating presence, and if he was in more episodes, he could easily have ranked higher on this list. I think he gave such an intimidating presence. His connection to each of the Titans, the way he threatens Dick Grayson by calling him Richard and sending ninjas after him, really good potential. I also love his bond with Superboy, but it was short-lived because we only got one episode of him, and you don't really get to judge his performance when you only saw him just a little bit of like a 40 to 30 minute episode. So that's unfortunate, but he still makes the top 5. I still think he had potential to be a great Lex Luthor. And I think even in only one episode, I think he is one of the greatest castings Lex Luthor that we've ever gotten. The performance is great. I would love to see more, but unfortunately that's not possible. So that's why he's in the number 5 spot. Coming in at number 4. Now this might be a hot take. Now look, Supergirl is a campy show at times. It had a lot of women agendas and a lot of issues, but if you watch 2.5 Men, I was stunned with, even in a campy world like Supergirl, when they first announced Alan from 2.5 Men to play Lex Luthor for Supergirl, I was like, okay, this is kind of a weird one. I know he's on 2.5 Men, and I don't know if I take him seriously being comedy. Then the pictures came out. You're like, you see him out of prison, and he's just like Lex Luthor with a beard, and there's something about that I dug. And speaking of Lex Luthor with a beard, we're going to talk more about that because there's a better Lex Luthor that's even better than this Lex. It's also a TV Lex. You know, I'm astounded that some of the best Lex are actually on TV more so than the movies. There's only one, I think, true good movie Lex Luthor, which we'll talk about later in the list. But, so I really liked how John Cryer, like, we got to see him in his war suit, which was awesome. He was campy, yeah, like, he had the Frank Sinatra, I did it my way. But if you guys pick up a comic book, that's Lex Luthor. And just, like, if this wasn't in a Superman show and not in, and not in the Supergirl show or the episodes of the Arrowverse, I think it would have been different. Now look, he played a good version of Lex Luthor. I like him. I see a lot of people criticize him. Is he my favorite? No, but I like him. I think he earns the number 4 spot. I think he's pretty good for what we got for Supergirl. Would I like to see him in Superman and Lois before they made the decision to... Before they announced that they were going to get Michael Kublitz, I would have totally been down for it. So I would like to see him interact with Tyler Hoechlin and Superman. But we're going to talk about that in a minute, because now this is where the list... So that's why I put John Cryer at number 4. We got a lot of him in the Arrowverse. I think he served his purpose. I think he was great. And that was really cool to see John Cryer, who played Alan on 2.5 Men, one, stand in a different role, and also him playing a serious character. It's the first time we really see that. It's amazing to see these comedy actors turn into more serious roles. And I think that this really worked for me. I really loved how it was portrayed. I loved how he was just so villainous and so, like, he was even able to turn against his sister. He was willing to nearly kill himself just to make his point and just his hatred for Superman. Although, I do think there are a couple other people that hate Superman a bit more than him. But I think this is a pretty good addition on the list. I do like John Cryer. I do think he was good. I liked Supergirl for the most part. I never finished season 5, so I gotta eventually finish that. But what I saw from season 4, I loved it. It was good. Alright, now let's go into... Now this is where our list is going to get controversial. These next 3 on the list are easily the top 3 Lex Luthors of all time, and I don't care what anyone else says differently. Number 3 on the list is going to get controversial. Some people have said this is the best Lex Luthor. I'm putting him at number 3 because I think that these other 2 Lex Luthors, I think they trump him in my opinion. And it's going to be a hot take. People aren't going to agree, and that's okay. It's okay for us to have disagreements. And I'm excited to see your list in the bottom. Now we got Michael Rosenbaum. Look, Michael Rosenbaum cameoed in Superman as one of the Raptors. That's cool. It's cool to see Nicholas Holt and him being friends. That's awesome. I love it, okay? I love that Rosenbaum will always be an amazing Lex Luthor. He'll always be remembered for it. It was a case of seeing the young Lex Luthor and young Clark interact. My problem with Michael Rosenbaum isn't necessarily his performance, but the fact that the show of Smallville is building into a young Clark, and even the Clark-Superman connection, most of the show, since you see Lex deal with his father, and they kind of try to show him be a better man than his father, you see Lex, we see his intelligent side, but we see him be more Superman's friend. As a fan of the comics, I want Lex Luthor to be Superman's Joker. I want Lex Luthor to be just hate Superman, detests him, just everything, just can't. That's why John Cryer's Lex Luthor was in number 4, because you could feel the hatred. And even though it was the campy elements, it still worked. Here, I do like Michael Rosenbaum. I think he stands out as one of the best. He's not number 1 for me, though. He would have been had these other 2 guys not come in. But I think that he held the gold standard for Lex for a lot of people. He had so many seasons of Smallville. But now there are 2 people that, while they don't have as long as we got with the others, there's enough there that's worth talking about. So I really do like Michael Rosenbaum, and I think number 3 is a pretty good place for him. I think he's a great Lex Luthor. Not not the best or the second best, but he is definitely really good. All right, coming in at number 2, our runner-up on the list. Now, you guys know how much, if you watch my reviews on this channel, I love Superman and Lois as a TV show. It is probably the pinnacle of superhero television next to, like, Daredevil and all these other great shows. I mean, it just didn't feel CW. It felt cinematic. It felt amazing. It had amazing acting and writing. And so, I'm a big Walking Dead guy. When they brought Michael Kablitz, who played Abraham on The Walking Dead, to go over and play Lex Luthor, when I first saw him with his hair, a lot of people like Abraham and Lex Luthor, and I just don't see it. But when the pictures came out and he shaved his head, and he had that iconic goatee, but now it's grayed out, dude, this Lex Luthor is probably the most, you have badass in terms of different rights. This is the most heavy metal Lex Luthor. And if you guys like those comics, DC Metal or Dark Metal, this was so metal, man. Like he's got the goatee. This Lex Luthor cannot be trifled with. There's a scene in Superman and Lois season 4, the final season, where basically Lex had Otis attempt to kill Lana for not giving him his property, and Clark finds out about it and confronts Lex as Clark Kent, not Superman. But of course Lex knows that Superman and Clark are the same person. So Lex is prepared with a strategy where Clark taps into the Superman powers and immediately tries to beat the shit out of Lex, and Lex flips the switch, and all the lights in the street light in the middle of the rain turn to red sun, which means Superman's powers don't work. And then you get this incredible, astounding show of abilities between Lex and Superman where they're even. And this is the first time we've ever seen Lex and Superman at odds without Lex having some sort of suit. And Lex, for the majority of it, while Superman does ultimately win, Lex was whooping his ass. And there's been a couple other times, the way he summons Doomsday in this show, the way his plans work out. He's just a terrifying, amazing Lex Luthor. And I love what they do with him. But he does have some competition, because he may have held that reign for all of Superman and Lois, but when Superman and Lois was ending, and also we did get to see him in the war suit in that final season, which is awesome. Loved it. But now, gotta go to the number 1. He may not have a war suit yet, but he is without a doubt the best Lex Luthor we've ever gotten. So much, you could say the movie Superman 2025 is more of a Lex Luthor movie than it is a Superman movie. So now let's go talk about Nicholas, our number 1 on our list. So we had John Cryer at number 4. We had Rosenbaum at number 3, and we had Michael Kablitz at number 2 as the runner-up. Our number 1 is easily Nicholas Holt's Lex Luthor. Okay, look, there's people, we only see him in one movie. How can you compare him to Rosenbaum, and how can you compare him to Michael Kablitz, who was only in 2 seasons of the show? That was a lot more screen time. I get it. But this movie, while people might make the argument, we're going to see more of him. Yes, we will see a lot more of this Lex Luthor. He's the definitive Lex of this universe. But the greatest thing about this Lex Luthor is that they did what they should have done with Lex Luthor. They've done in the comics, but they haven't done with any of these live-action movies so far, or even live-action TV shows. They made Lex Luthor a hater. And I love it. 1A! He devised so many countermeasures, dedicating his life to beating Superman. And it was brilliant. And Nicholas Holt had top billing on this movie even more than David Cornswet as Superman, because David Cornswet's a younger actor, and Nicholas Holt is experienced. So, they know what he's capable of. But I just love how James Gunn and him crafted the best definitive Lex Luthor. He's a hater. He has contingency plans. He is not afraid to completely tap in to basically creating entire black holes in the city and not caring what happens to the citizens. And he has this amazing line of dialogue in this movie that they showcased in the trailers, where he says that he doesn't care what happens to the city because the people that love Superman, he said, they chose them, let them die. And it's so good. And one of the most ruthless, you think look, I'll say this, Michael Kablitz may have nearly killed Superman's sons and Superman's former lover, which is great, but this movie showed what was so brilliant is Lex Luthor cold-bloodedly played Russian roulette and killed an innocent bystander that just gave Superman some food and stood up for him when all the riots were going on. And it just was brilliant. Lex Luthor was a super genius. He created a clone of Superman. He created the engineer using nanomites. We haven't even gotten to him making Doomsday yet. And he literally has given us the greatest stuff you can expect from Lex Luthor. Megalomaniac, unhinged, ruthless. These are words I never thought we would say about any version of Lex Luthor we've seen in a long time, which is 90% of the reason, other than other characters. You can argue with the Superman film, what is my favorite movie of 2025, that obviously, yes, I love David Cornsman's Superman. I love Richard Brosnahan's Lois. I love, people will say that Mr. Terrific was the standout, Eddie Cathetti, but no, for me the standout was Nicholas Holt's Lex Luthor. I can't wait to see more of this guy. The unhingedness, the 1A, like, and just him not caring and standing up and saying, even when he says to him, not knowing that Clark Kent and Superman are the same person, like, I'll go find that reporter you're talking so much about, and I'll kill them too. Like, just the fact that he saw him, and the scene when Superman does the John Wick and pulls into the office, and he's just sipping his coffee, being like, I don't know what dog you're talking about. Like, this guy is a generational hater, and I know that we'll probably get J.K. Simmons back as J. Jonah Jameson in future Marvel projects at some point. This man cannot be topped. The way that he is as a generational hater, he needs to stay the same. He's literally throwing pencils at his ex-girlfriend from literally trying to uncover his entire plan. So, yeah, man, Nicholas Holt, easily the best Lex Luthor for me. Can't wait to see him go down in history in the DCU as one of the greatest villains. So let me know your thoughts. What's your top Lex and who are your top 3? Let me know if you can't name all 8, or you have an even bigger list. Post it in the comments. Make sure that you also like the video. Let me know your thoughts on it, and I hope you enjoyed my list. Remember, my list ain't the right list. It's just my list. I'd love to know yours in the comments below, and have a great day. Thanks for watching.